Welcome to the Raging Takes podcast with your hosts, Brian Dixon, Kai Zabo, and Dylan Peters.
What up, you turkeys? Welcome to episode 150 of the Raging Takes podcast. Today is Sunday, March 16th, 2025. I'm your host, Brian Dixon. Joined as always by my co-hosts, Kai the Commissioner Zabo and Dylan Peters. Good morning.
Salutations.
Howdy.
Howdy to you. It's actually a good afternoon. That's my apologies. We're recording later than we normally do. And on a different day than we normally do. Feels good, though. We got a lot of free agent news to talk about today. A shit ton. Yeah, this is the free agency episode. I don't know. Most of the big names, this is kind of a weaker free agent class, and most of the big names have already signed. So I feel like this is going to be the definitive free agent episode. I don't know. I assume we'll have like Rodgers and Russ news in the next week. But other than that, there's not anything too crazy going on still, I think, unless some trades still happen, which could happen. But we will start off with Myles Garrett. Kind of a shocker. He demands a trade, but yeah, he folds after like 3 weeks and signs a 4-year extension with the Cleveland Browns. He will get paid $40 million a year, and the extension includes $123.5 million in guaranteed money. He is now the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Takes it away from Max Crosby after like 2.5 days or something like that. Congrats to Max for that title for 2.5 days. But yeah, Myles Garrett. Well, I would say if a defensive end deserves this much money, it's definitely him for sure. And I also want to talk about the Cowboys too, after you guys have given because there's been talk in the media that the Cowboys really fucked this up, and I'll explain why later. But what do you guys feel about the Myles Garrett signing?
Yeah, it's a little funny. It was kind of just making this whole big deal. I want to get out of here. I want to play for a contender. And then all of a sudden Cleveland's like, oh, here's the bag. And also you're going to be the highest non-paid quarterback in NFL history. Myles Garrett was like, done.
Yeah, dude, it was never about the money. It was always about wanting to win. It was always about your legacy, the Hall of Fame, all these things, Super Bowls. It was always about that. Yeah, until you realize, nobody's really loved in Cleveland. He could be the most loved Cleveland Browns player of all time.
He's also a minority owner of the Cavs too, so he's at the Cavs games a ton. Yeah. So like he kind of has a stake in both the Browns and the Cavaliers. So he is kind of like a Cleveland sports, idol. That's in a way. Cool. So he is kind of. I think he's probably like second to nobody other than like LeBron, I would say, in the last like 30, 40 years. So yeah, it makes sense that they would pay him, but like. Is this just because the Browns said that, listen, no matter what, we're not trading you. You can sit out as many games as you want. We're not going to trade you, because the GM was like very stubborn about that he was not trading Garrett, and Garrett just believed him and folded. Or see, I feel like you're not going to win a Super Bowl in Cleveland. I'm sorry. This is just isn't going to happen. I mean, the next like 2 or 3 years is basically a wash because of the Watson contract. So it's like you're basically just sitting there getting paid. I'm sure he has a great relationship with the fans in the city, so I'm sure it's still fine to him. I'm sure he's happy somewhat there. But if you want to win, this wasn't the deal to do. I don't know. He was kind of in a hard position though. So it
almost feels like he kind of like accepted the fact that maybe there were no good trade partners. Maybe it wasn't like a realistic scenario that he could have gone somewhere else for the price tag that he was being asked for.
I think
that's possible.
I think basically he realized like he's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame. He keeps this trajectory up. He'll be like a first ballot Hall of Famer. This is a lot of money too. So if you want to play football and make a lot of money, he made the right decision. It's not so bad being a legend of your own team.
Or of your own city. I mean, like kind of like what Brian was saying, maybe he is going this like LeBron James route with like Cleveland, Ohio. Maybe he's trying to like become like the next big like superstar there, like outside of football additionally too.
Technically, if he wanted to go the LeBron route, he would have left a couple of times.
Yeah.
Left. No, I'm just kidding though. But I don't think he had much choice if the Browns were being serious about them not even considering trading him, which I also thought was kind of stupid on their part. It was like, I mean, you could get a lot. You think the Eagles wouldn't give you a ton for Myles Garrett? Like, somebody's going to give you a lot for him. You could have got a nice little haul and tried to build your team up towards the future after you get through the Watson hurricane. I think I would have traded him personally, but
you could have got 3 firsts and a couple other picks.
I agree. I think you could have gotten at the very least 2 firsts and a couple other picks at the very least. So and you could have got maybe even a usable player too. So I think I would have traded him just being in their specific position, which is like an all-time horrible position. One of the worst positions to be in the history of sports, I would say. I think I would have traded him in that situation. But if this were a normal situation, I would have been like, yeah, you would keep Myles Garrett. He's like the best defender in the league.
I mean, that's another thing too, though. It's like they paid Myles Garrett all this money. Meanwhile, they're still strapped down from Deshaun Watson too. It's like, I get that Myles Garrett is the guy to pay, but it's like, it's just weird at the point in time that they're at now.
Yeah. They could have really helped themselves a lot, but I understand wanting to keep him.
All right, next up. DK Metcalf gets traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a 2025 second-round pick, and then he signs a 5-year, $150 million contract with the Steelers. So he gets paid basically exactly what he wanted to get paid, I believe. He goes to a team that already has another good receiver. The thing, I don't know if I like this pairing, though, Pickens and Metcalf. One, they're both kind of head cases. 2, they kind of do the same thing well, right? They're kind of like the deep ball receiver. I don't know if this, and then the Steelers are known to not really have like a prolific passing game, at least not in like the last like 10 years once Big Ben
they also don't have a quarterback.
They also don't have a fucking quarterback. Yeah, they did re-sign Mason Rudolph though. There you go, Mason Rudolph's back. Yeah,
this makes me think Russell Wilson will probably sign back with the Steelers. I mean, he's had a little rapport with DK Metcalf in the past, you know.
I mean, Rodgers is still out there. Rodgers and Russ are both still out there.
Good.
I don't think the pairing's that bad, but it's just the money. The money for me it's a lot.
For DK, for sure, yeah.
That's a lot of money. That's
more for him. It's more than I would like to pay for him specifically. Yeah, I like DK as a player, but he's not like a perfect receiver. Yeah, he's not a receiver that you pay this much money to.
You know, I'll never doubt the Steelers either when it comes to their wide receivers because they tend to hit on wide receivers usually with everything that they do with them. So, I mean, I'm not going to question them on this move. I think the pairing could work. I mean, yeah, they're both kind of deep ball specialists. DK is a little bit bigger, though.
You know what? You bring up a point that I didn't even like think about. Like the Steelers are known for like being amazing at drafting receivers. Why would they trade for a not perfect wide receiver and then pay him this much money? Just go draft one. Right? Them and the Packers are like the 2 teams that have been historically great at drafting receivers the past like 15 years. Why wouldn't you just keep doing that over and over again and just go find another superstar?
Maybe they see something.
They also drafted Roman Wilson too, who didn't really play at all last year, but maybe he could come back healthy and bring something too. He's a totally different player than what Metcalf and Pickens bring to the table, but so I guess he still could even with them.
I was going to say another thing
this is a little non-Steelers-esque move here, I guess, now that I'm thinking about it. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say also we have to consider, though, too, they really haven't had good quarterback play since Roethlisberger retired. So we don't even know if like the receivers that they're drafting are actually good or bad because they're all being held back by quarterback play year in, year out.
I mean, we know Pickens is good. They just drafted him 2 years ago. So it's like... I don't know about Calvin Austin. I'm not really a Calvin Austin guy, but
yeah, it's a weird situation. But I kind of think the pairing could work. It can work. I just don't know about it at first.
Yeah, it will work. It depends on who they get at running back and who they got. If Roman Wilson can get it going, because dude, Najee Harris is gone. I know that they have their backup running back.
I'm pretty sure they still have Warren.
Warren, Jalen
right?
Warren.
I think they brought Jalen Warren back.
Yeah, so their offense is going to look a lot different next year. They don't have a lot of pieces in place right now, but I think the Steelers team could look a lot different after the draft.
I think they'll be one of the teams that drafts one of the 100 running backs that is in this draft. I think they'll definitely pick up a rookie to pair with Warren, and that won't be that bad.
The Steelers with Hampton would be nasty too. Hampton can help a lot of teams.
Well, they traded their
they
traded their second round pick though, and I think that's where they would have to get Hampton. So that's not a possibility anymore. So
Travion Henderson,
unless they take him late first, who knows?
Who knows, dude?
Yeah.
I will say, I think a second round pick is perfectly fine to trade for Metcalf, though. I thought that was fair in that regard. I know Seattle was asking for like a first at first. A first at first.
We thought third.
Yeah, I think second's perfectly fine. I would have preferred. Yeah, third would have been nice too. I think for sure. A first was too much. A first plus you have to pay him like $30 million a year. Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, I got this one right. Rams signed Davante Adams,
and I like
a 2-year, $46 million deal. I like it too. It's $26 million guaranteed, and then Puka's going to change his number to number 12 next season to give Davante 17. Puka wore number 12 in college at BYU. So, yeah, I think this is a great signing. I think it fits the Rams pretty well. Robinson's gone. Cooper Kupp's gone. Obviously, we'll get to Cooper Kupp. You've paired Davante with Puka. That's definitely one of the better wide receiver duos in the league. Yeah, like I don't think it's better than like the Bengals or the Eagles, but it's up there. It's definitely up there. You guys excited about Matt Stafford and Davante Adams? And also, fantasy value-wise, how do we feel about Davante Adams next year?
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. I still think Puka's going to eat in this offense. I still think he's the number one. But, man, I can still see Davante in like the 70 catch range, maybe like 1,100 yards, close to double-digit touchdowns, if it all goes well.
I don't know, dude. I think Matthew Stafford is going to throw to Davante Adams a couple times and be like, go deep. Go deep, dude.
Either way, it's going to be good, I think, honestly.
I think Davante Adams possibly eats into Puka Nakua's numbers next year, big time. I think he might make Puka Nakua a wide receiver too.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. This is a 50-50 shot. I think honestly they're both about the same.
Like
I see the vision. It's pretty wild though, just because of the age difference at this point in time. But
dude, I think I'll give it to Puka over Davante just based on already having chemistry with Stafford. But I don't think it's going to take long for Stafford and Adams to get chemistry. So
one game.
I would take either in fantasy for sure. I think Puka's going to go definitely like a round. Maybe 2 rounds before Davante, probably.
Mm-hmm. You might get better value for Adams, though. Honestly.
Yeah, would you rather have Puka like top of the second or Davante like mid fourth?
I don't know.
Who's scoring the most touchdowns?
Depends on my draft.
Kind of the same conversation that we were having last year with Puka and Kupp. Honestly, it's about where they both went.
Do we think that Puka Nakua can outpace him in touchdowns?
It depends on the connection.
I don't think so, dude.
We'll see.
I think he could.
I don't know. I think Davante will probably have a just as good season as Puka Nakua. Maybe better.
I mean, I think that's a fair point. Yeah.
Josh Allen signs a 6-year extension worth $330 million. $250 million guaranteed, largest ever given to a NFL player. We don't have to talk about this too long. This is obviously what you have to do, right? Josh Allen's like one of the best quarterbacks in the league, probably 1 or 2. No lower than 3, I would say. And you have to keep those types of players happy, right? You don't want Josh Allen leaving, so sign him to as long of an extension as you can. You got to give him the most money that anyone's ever spent on a quarterback, because that's just how this thing works. And honestly, even though this is a shit ton of money, this is a no-brainer. You got to give Josh Allen this extension.
Yeah, just help him out and get a Super Bowl.
Yeah, dude.
Help him out and get a Super Bowl. Eagles fans, that easy. Just go sign like a running back in free agency or something like that.
Yeah, get yourselves a Saquon Barkley. Get yourselves a Vic Fangio.
What? Like it's hard to win a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Are you saying that it's the best route to go win a Super Bowl is to build your coaching tree better?
It helps.
Hey, go get yourselves a Vic Fangio. Guess what? There's not that many of those guys. But that, good for him. I'm glad he took this deal that's not going to totally kill his team's cap space. He's not taking up about 20% of the cap space, so that's good.
Is that sarcasm?
Yeah, sarcasm.
We'll see what happens. That is you are tying yourself to the hopes of just that Josh Allen is good enough to win himself a Super Bowl by himself. No.
But he might be, though.
No. Yeah.
He might be.
Yeah.
He might be. We'll see.
Might be. Aaron Jones resigns with the Vikings on a 2-year deal worth $20 million, $13 million guaranteed.
It's a lot of money for him.
I was kind of sad that he didn't come to the Raiders. Dylan kind of talked me into that idea, and then it got taken from me immediately. It would have been good, but Aaron Jones back to the Vikings. It makes sense. Honestly, we may as well just talk about the other running back move right now too. Jordan Mason got traded to the Vikings yesterday as well.
That's crazy.
What was it? I don't know why I didn't put it higher on the notes. It was for a 6th round pick, and then they swapped picks. The Vikings had 160. It's going to the Niners. The Niners had the number 187 overall. It's going to the Vikings.
Mm.
I think that's a good deal for the Vikings, honestly. Jordan Mason's a good player, in my opinion. I thought he did pretty good. You can make the argument that, that was in San Francisco. They always have good running backs, good running back system. But I don't know. I think he's a good runner. I think the Vikings have a good coaching staff, too. I think they'll put him in places to succeed in the offense. And also keep in mind, Aaron Jones is a good player, don't get me wrong, but he does tend to miss like at least a few games a season, it feels like. So Jordan Mason is probably going to be used at least at some point next season in a full-time role. So I like this move a lot. I think that's a pretty solid tandem, Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason.
Yeah, I was going to say, so does that push down Ty Chandler now? Is that dream just dead now?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Ty Chandler's dream's been dead for about 9 months now. Yeah, about halfway through the season when he wasn't being used, it was over right then and there. I dropped him from my dynasty team.
They might even keep Kine Nwangu over him, however the hell you say his name. Nwangu.
Yeah, that's how it. They
gotta do a spelling bee again.
We're gonna have one. We're gonna have one. He might still be on the roster. Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah, I think Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason just really like complement each other in a really nice way. So I think that's going to be pretty good. We'll see about the quarterback play, though.
Every once in a while, I'll just be sitting minding my own business, thinking about football, thinking about, the draft, free agency, all this other stuff. And then there'll be a little glimpse into another world, maybe this world, where the Vikings have Aaron Rodgers, Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, 3 of the most terrifying players that I've ever experienced in the NFL as a fan on the same team together. And
it could work.
In those worlds, they beat the Bears 40-10 twice.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. If I were you, I would be praying that Aaron Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh or New York, not because I'm scared of him, but because I just wouldn't want to deal with him ever again like that.
And Aaron Jones.
Yeah, with Aaron Jones.
Especially. Well, you already have to deal with Aaron Jones, though.
That's the worst
fight with Aaron Rodgers, though.
Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones running an offense against the Chicago Bears has never looked good to me. As a Bears fan, I've always been, Aaron Jones is 12 carries, 135 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I hate it. I don't want it to happen.
All right. Moving on, Chris Godwin re-signs with the Buccaneers. 3 years, $66 million with $45 million guaranteed. I cannot remember who it was. Somebody in the media was saying that they had heard sources say that Godwin left like a significant amount of money on the table to return to Tampa Bay. So do with that what you will. I took it as like New England probably offered him a lot of money, and he just was like, no, I'd rather stay in Tampa Bay, which I kind of don't blame him. Nice weather, probably a better situation currently at least.
Team.
Yeah, like a team that you already know really well too. Him and Mike Evans complement each other really well in that offense, and Baker gets the ball to both of them at a pretty reliable rate.
Mhm.
This was a pretty nice deal for Tampa Bay. I think they got their guy back at a good discounted price. Chris Godwin is obviously happy to be there. This is like a home run play for all parties involved, I think.
It's a pretty nice deal, even just for Chris Godwin himself. I mean, this is a pretty sizable amount of money to be where you love, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, he got paid after an injury like that.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
Bad, $45 million guaranteed after an injury.
Get to stay in Florida. Hell yeah.
They value him. You know, he's going to be on the field whenever he's healthy. And he's going to be in that offense, which is humming whenever they're all together. So that's got to be his thought process is this Bucs team can actually go to a Super Bowl if we're all healthy.
Hey, really quick, though, too. I mean, how do you see this wide receiver room next year? So we got Evans, Godwin, and Jalen McMillan now who've showed out a lot second half of the year with Godwin out.
Godwin in the slot with Evans and McMillan on the outside, I imagine.
It's going to be nice for Baker.
Yeah, a dark horse Baker Mayfield MVP season.
Maybe.
Don't forget,
yeah.
They got Kate Otten, too.
Yeah, and the running backs. The full complement of running backs.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice offense, even without Liam Cohen.
Okay. Yeah, dude. The grifter of all grifters, brother, is gone.
That was a very nice season that they had last year with him, though. Yeah.
You think so?
I thought so.
I think that offense could take up any scheme.
We'll see. I think they will too, but we'll see. Seahawks signed Sam Darnold to a 3-year, $100 million contract, $55 million guaranteed. It reunites Darnold with Clint Kubiak, who was the offensive coordinator in San Francisco when he was there. I don't know. I don't see how this is an improvement on Geno, personally. It could be, I guess, if Darnold keeps improving, but a lot of, like, I don't know, man. When you've only seen one good season of a player, it's risky. I don't really know what to expect.
This is a lot of fucking money, too, on top of it.
What's quarterback play, though? This is about what I expected Darnold to get.
Sam Darnold is the real put together right in front of you story of whiplash. This guy starts his career terrible, never really gets a chance, moves around a bunch, never had a chance to be in a system for more than a year. And even when he does amazing finally, doesn't get that second year in that system. So
what do you think?
He's got to start over, dude.
What do you think happens if the Vikings beat the Lions at the end of the year last year and then win a playoff game? Do you think Darnold's still back with the Vikings?
Yes. Yeah. No,
he kind of just tanked his not his value, obviously, because he got a good amount of money. I think this was probably about the money he was going to get no matter what. But he kind of did tank people's idea of him because he had this rejuvenation last year. A resurrection, if you will, and then all of a sudden everyone's back to no, it's Sam Darnold. He sucks.
Well, yeah, it was just very apparent that towards the end of the season, when the lights were the brightest and you needed him to win these big games, he could not do it, and that was purely why the Vikings are probably okay, this isn't our guy.
Dude, not only could he not do it, he shit his fucking
pants,
dude, twice.
Yeah,
in a row. I mean, I know the last year of the season doesn't mean much, but he shit his pants in that game too. So
he looked awful throwing the ball too.
He did lead a late fourth quarter drive against the Seahawks last season to win a game in Seattle, which probably helped Seahawks' idea of him as well.
Yeah.
From what I read, the Seahawks did want Geno Smith back, but Geno kind of didn't want to come back. It seemed like Geno wasn't willing to talk extension with them. They said
had anything to do with Pete Carroll's getting hired in Vegas.
It's definitely possible. He posted a picture of him and Pete Carroll together when Pete Carroll got hired with the Raiders. So at the time, was that I want to go play in Vegas thing, or was it just I'm happy for my old coach type thing? And I've been
really watching.
I've been watching old videos of like Geno talking about Pete Carroll, and they seem to have a very, very nice relationship. Or like Pete Carroll was the guy that made Geno like believe in himself more.
Yes.
He kind of like credits him to being where he is today. So I'm like, that's pretty cool. So I can't really remember where I'm going with this point, but
it brings you to some other stuff.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll talk about, I guess let's talk about Cooper Kupp right now too. They signed Cooper Kupp. The Rams released him earlier in the week after they couldn't find a trade partner. And then there were just like rumors like aplenty. Not for very long. The thing was that Cooper Kupp wanted to get this done like immediately. He didn't want to like go through like the whole motion of offseason. He just wanted to find a home and get it over with. The Cowboys were rumored to be interested in him. There's also, I think people were like expecting Cooper Kupp's asking price to be lower than what it actually was. I heard before he signed that he was asking like an absurd amount of money more than what teams thought he was worth. I was thinking it was about like 12 million a year. It turned out to be 15 million a year he got from Seattle. So I think most teams wanted him for probably like 10 a season, and he was asking for 15 a season. So we'll see. He wasn't that bad last year until like the last month of the season, and I don't know what happened there, but he just kind of like disappeared from the offense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This could work. I don't think I'm a big fan of it. Kupp and JSN kind of succeed in the same role. They're both kind of slot guys. Yeah. So I don't really think it fits together with what the Seahawks want to do. We'll see, though. I think it's worth a shot, but I don't really see the vision that the Seahawks are putting together here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm right there with you. I just think they're too similar of wide receivers in their skill sets.
Yeah, they're going to occupy the same parts of the field. What are you asking JSN to expand his route tree, beyond where he's comfortable? Is it going to be like that kind of thing? Or are they going to draft?
I was going to say
another guy.
He did show a little bit this season that he was able to work like the middle parts of the field too, JSN.
Well,
I mean, you can work the middle part of the field on slot or outside, I guess. But I think JSN ran like 75% of his routes from the slot this year, and Cooper Kupp was like 55% or something like that.
Yeah, there's going to be conflict for sure.
I don't know. I think I would keep JSN on the slot and maybe play Cooper Kupp out wide, but I don't know. I guess they can be interchangeable too. I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense, especially at the asking price the Kupp had, but we'll see. I believe he's from Washington.
Yeah.
I think.
Or he played in college at Washington. Yeah.
I think both. I think it's both. I think he was born. Where school did he play at? Was it Washington?
I think it was Eastern Washington. Yeah, it was a small school.
I think he was born. So kind of like a homecoming type of thing.
I met Cooper Kupp's dad.
Nice guy?
He's a very nice guy. He's getting pizza.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Justin Fields signs with the Jets. 2 years, $40 million deal, $30 million guaranteed. He's now reunited with Garrett Wilson, who he played with at Ohio State. They were teammates together. So I guess that's kind of cool. I feel like I've been on the fence with Justin Fields for a while. I still kind of believe in him, but he just doesn't show you enough to like really be confident in that belief. And now that he's on the Jets, I'm just like ready to just call it. This isn't gonna work out, right? Nothing ever works out for the Jets. If this is a true 50-50, whether a team can develop Justin Fields or not, the Jets are not going to be able to develop Justin Fields, right?
No, dude. The only good thing I've heard is that Garrett Wilson is excited to play with him. But you're remembering college Justin Fields. Pros Justin Fields is totally different. Just look at the fucking tape. It shouldn't excite you to play with him at all. I mean, sure, he went 4-2 with the Steelers last year as the starter, but they pulled him as soon as they could. And he only had like 6 passing touchdowns in 6 games, which isn't that good unless you're Trevor Lawrence. So, no. They have Breece Hall, they have Tyler Conklin, they have Garrett Wilson. They don't really have a wide receiver too now, do they?
No, I do think as it stands right now, they might draft somebody. They have is it Malachi Corley? Is that who they have?
Yeah, Mr. Drop it right before the goal line.
Yeah.
Dude, and they don't even have a great offensive line. All of the good things that we talked about the Jets offensive line last year in the offseason is all fucking gone now. They were terrible all season. They're going to be terrible again.
Mm-hmm. Poor Jets
and Justin
fans.
Justin Fields was put in another position where he has a pretty good defense and just a dog shit offense.
I do like Garrett Wilson fantasy value, though. I feel like I think he's gonna get
like a DJ Moore.
I think he's gonna get like hyper targeted a little bit as it stands right now. I think they'll probably draft somebody, or maybe Corley will come on. Or as it stands right now, though, I think Wilson is just gonna be like a target monster.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point with that. We
probably.
have seen Justin Fields be able to feed like a wide receiver 1 for fantasy purposes.
So I think he'll be perfectly fine for fantasy. I don't think this is gonna be like a winning move, though, or anything like that. So I would draft Justin Fields though in fantasy for sure, and I would draft Garrett Wilson. I would draft Justin Fields in fantasy for sure. Yeah,
like late round.
Maybe even like middle round. I honestly think he'll be a good fantasy player. I just don't think this is going to work out in real life football. I don't think they're going to win a lot of games. Yeah, why not?
Dude,
that's half the reason for getting the goddamn guy.
Dude, it's only a 2-year deal. It's not like you're like strapped for cash with him.
If you design an offense around Justin Fields where he can run like 12 times a game, it's fucking on for that.
He's gonna get 100 yards, you know it.
He's fast, bro, and he gets those 30, 45, 50 plus yard runs. He doesn't get no like 15 and slide. No, he's fast. And he has long strides, and he looks like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle already. Dude. I think he's ready to roll.
All right. The Patriots kind of put on like a defensive clinic for free agency right here. They signed Milton Williams, who they kind of stole from Carolina. The rumor at first was that he was signing with the Panthers, and then like an hour later, they're like, oh, never mind, he's signing with the Patriots. So good for them to get him away from them, I guess. And they signed Robert Spillane, who I was a little heartbroken about. I love Robert Spillane. I think he's a really good linebacker. I really wanted the Raiders to re-sign him. And then they also signed Carlton Davis. So Milton Williams got 4 years, $104 million, $60 million guaranteed. Spillane, 3 years, $37.5 million. Carlton Davis, 3 years, $60 million. Honestly, really good signings by them.
Yeah, this is they covered all 3 levels.
Vrabel is trying to build that defense up his way, and I really like it. I saw somebody say that Vrabel probably saw Spillane and it just saw like a mini version of him, and I was like, fuck, that makes a lot of sense. They actually play a lot alike. Yeah, but I love all these signings. I think this is really smart for the Patriots to do. What did you guys think?
Yeah, no, I'm completely on board with this. Like I said, they did all 3 levels of that defense. You know, you got a good D lineman, you got a good pass coverage linebacker, and then you also got a good corner. And I think Mike Vrabel knows good corners.
Dude, I think the Patriots are going to be so vastly
feisty
improved in one season that they're definitely coming in second place. I'll say this safely now. Safely. The Jets are coming in second place in the AFC East next year.
The Jets are coming in second place, huh? You're going to the back to the well? Oh, okay.
Wait, give them a turkey for that one. That's a turkey.
I love the Jets.
I was looking at this thing. I saw Jets with Justin.
All right, dude, we locked it in. Jets second place in the division.
No, Patriots. The Patriots are going to be vastly improved, and they're going to come in second place in that. That division, just based off of the coaching and these signings, and the fact that they're focusing on the trenches too. I think that team is going to be just unbelievably different than it was last season.
You know what, dude? I kind of like that take.
I do like it. Yeah, it's crazy though.
I don't know if it's crazy. I don't know if it's that crazy.
They could flirt with just a winning season outright.
I mean, I believe in Mike Vrabel that much to where I believe in your point, but it's just like it's just crazy to say that. Oh yeah, the Patriots are just going to come back. Yeah, I don't know. It's still crazy for me, but I see the vision.
It's not that crazy for me, Dylan. Kai's just shocked right now.
So Kai's shocked. I'm shocked.
Shook.
We haven't had a raging take in a while of that caliber.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. That's true. But yeah, I think. Well, I'll say that I already said that I'm going to miss Robert Spillane. Are you going to miss Milton Williams, or are you sad that the Eagles didn't sign it? Would you have given him this contract?
No, probably not.
This was a pretty big contract.
It
like
is.
One
It
of
is
the
a
more.
lot of money. Yeah.
I think this might be the most money guaranteed to a defensive tackle. I'm not, or like at least tied with somebody. I can't remember. I think it's more than Christian Wilkins got. I think he got like 58 million guaranteed.
It's pretty high.
So
Yeah.
this was a pretty big contract.
Yeah, I already know that we couldn't have kept him.
I would have personally given Spillane 3 years, 38 million, but I guess we'll see. The Raiders are kind of being a little bargain hunting kind of team in this free agency. So another Eagles defensive lineman that's leaving, Josh Sweat, 4-year deal, $76.4 million with $41 million guaranteed. He's joining the Arizona Cardinals, reuniting with Jonathan Gannon. How do you like this move, Kai? Are you going to miss Josh Sweat?
Yeah, I'm going to miss Josh Sweat, but we definitely couldn't have paid him this kind of contract either. I already told Nolan, Cardinals fan of the show, yeah, you guys are going to be very happy with Josh Sweat. He's going to add to that D-line so quickly.
I wanted the Bears to get him just because of his name.
Montez and Josh.
2 sweats.
Yeah, 2 sweats.
That is true.
Sweaty D-line.
He does have a good sack celebration too.
Yeah,
that's great. That's a good one. Who would you have rather kept, Josh Sweat for 4 years, $77 million, or Milton Williams for 4 years, $104 million?
Man, I probably Josh Sweat, honestly, because we already have Jalen Carter in the middle, so it's not like, I feel like a defensive end, like having another good defensive end is more important than just two really good defensive tackles. So rather have 1 and 1. Yeah.
Cheaper too. Makes sense.
Just wait. Vic Fangio is like, I just need this guy and this guy. Bring them in, get them in the defense, and it'll be just take a couple games, it'll be just the same.
I already think we're drafting D-line anyways in the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to be like, yeah, that big beefy one. Give me that big beefy
one. Another big trade. Texans trade Laramie Tunsil and a 4th rounder to the Commanders for a 3rd and a 7th in 2025, and then a 2nd and a 4th in 2026.
Damn.
This saves the Texans almost $43 million over the next 2 seasons. And then they also traded Kenyon Green, their guard, to the Eagles for C.J. Gardner-Johnson, which that trade also includes a pick swap. The Eagles get a 2026 5th, and the Texans get a 2026 6th. So Kenyon Green basically sounds like he's probably Mekhi Becton's replacement. From what I've heard, I mean, I'm not paying it that much attention to like individual offensive linemen on the Houston Texans, but I heard that Kenyon Green had a horrible season last year. But he was like a good prospect, right? Just a couple of years ago. So it's kind of like the Eagles are going to bring him in for their new like reclamation project, I guess. They fixed Mekhi Becton, and now they're going to try to fix this guy. Yeah, it's probably going to work. So, like, and obviously, if you're going to trade CJ GJ too, who is like a pretty big part of their defense, they probably believe in this this idea. So, I think that's going to work out just fine. And also, people are kind of shitting on the Texans for the Laramie Tunsil trade. Saving that much money against the cap is probably a decent thing, honestly.
Yeah,
they had Tunsil last year, and their offensive line was still a disaster. So it's like you might as well get some money back and just try to start this over.
Yeah, dude, because their pass blocking was abysmal, to say the least. Like, dude, couldn't say a nice thing about them all.
Which really affected CJ Stroud's play, too, because Stroud just had no time, and he knew it, so he just kind of got, like, a little shaky in the pocket. And just the Texans, I mean, they made the playoffs, so it wasn't like a complete failure, but the Texans' failure of a season last year was basically centered around how bad their offensive line was.
I agree. And I think getting rid of those guys, getting money off the books, and acquiring C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's going to bring serious pop to your defensive backfield.
Which is already good.
Which is already good. Now you got to worry about this dude just doing some, like, devious shit during the game. I'm talking about he's a good player. Like, he's always in line for a takeaway or some kind of big stop, or just leveling someone on your defense or making them super mad.
Yeah, he's really going to elevate Derek Stingley to another level too, just like being in the same defense with him.
Yeah, and they got that front 7 that's just pretty good, and now they add that to their back. Like, the Texans are going to have a just
nasty defense.
Just very nasty defense next year. So hopefully they figure it out on the offensive line because, like Brian said, they were shitty with these guys. So all the shit they got in turn for them is good.
Now you got to replace them though now too because you're I know I understand. You're stripping away your O line. You're saving money, and you hope that they use it towards that O line.
Oh, dude, they're going to.
Yeah,
you have to go get a left tackle for C.J. Stroud. You can't just go, bye, Laremy Tunsil. Hey, some guy that has never played. You want to start now? No, that's not how that goes.
Well, so what pick do they have?
Do they have a pick? Like 19 or 20?
25th. Tankathon has them picking Matthew Golden at wide receiver. I don't know about that. I feel like if a tackle's available, they'll probably go tackle, right?
It might be a reach at that point.
Look at all these
there's a tackle going right after them. Tankathon has the Oregon tackle, Connerly Jr. Josh Connerly Jr.
Grab. There you go.
Dude, I'm going to tell you something right now. The Texans have been so active in the trade stuff in the draft, and they just acquired all this draft capital and all this stuff like that. They're probably going to move up or something like that into the first, like higher into the first round. That's what kind of guy their GM is. Like they selected C.J. Stroud and then traded up directly after that and chose Will Anderson. So I wouldn't take it off the table for them to get the guy they want.
Okay, next up, Najee Harris to the Chargers, 1 year, $9.25 million. Honestly, I don't hate this signing. This seems like a Jim Harbaugh type of running back. Sorry. I don't think Najee's like spectacular. This running back class, free agency class wasn't really all that spectacular. So it's like if you weren't going to get Aaron Jones or Najee Harris, there really wasn't all that impressive names out there unless I'm forgetting somebody. I think that's really the only two. So if you want to power back, Najee was kind of the guy. I don't think they're signing him to be like Derrick Henry or Saquon. They're just kind of signing him to just get go get like 5 or 6 yards when we need you to get 5 or 6 yards type of player. So I think he can succeed with the Chargers. I'm perfectly fine with this.
Oh yeah, he can succeed with the Chargers. He can definitely succeed with the Chargers. That offensive line that the Chargers are building is road graders.
True.
Are they keeping J.K. Dobbins? Sorry.
Probably.
He's probably not. He's a free agent.
Najee Harris could have his best season behind this Chargers offensive line.
That's what I was going to say.
Just off sheer size. That's 1,200 pounds a man.
Yeah. I mean, if Dobbins walks too, I mean, I could see the Najee Harris being really good in this Jim Harbaugh offense with a good O-line.
Imagine you have 6 just big horses blocking for you. Just horses, dude. That's what those guys are becoming. They got a huge offensive line now. Najee Harris. It looks like they're going to pound teams into submission next year. I wouldn't be surprised if they go draft a guy that could pound you too at running back. Have like Najee and another guy that'll just destroy your linebackers. I don't know.
Scatabo.
Oh, dude.
Ooh.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. He's a psycho, nice. I think.
He does look like a psycho.
Yeah.
Ravens signed DeAndre Hopkins, 1 year, $6 million. One of us mentioned that none of us predicted that, but somebody mentioned the Ravens, didn't they? Was that you, Kai? One of you two mentioned the Ravens.
Yeah, I did, just because the Ravens have a tendency to sign these old, aging wide receivers to be their wide receiver one. We've seen it with Torrey Smith. We've seen it with Anquan Bolden, Dez Bryant. The list goes on and on. It's just
Anquan Bolden was still good when they signed him. Come on.
Yeah, he wasn't a Pro Bowl wide receiver, though. They never had one.
He was fucking awesome, though.
Yeah, he was. I don't know.
He got some big playoff catches.
3 years ago, this would have been a fantastic move. Now it's kind of just like, eh.
I mean, once that Super Bowl drop happened, I've lost all faith that Hopkins is still the same player. I couldn't believe that happened. He was the most open anyone was in that entire Super Bowl. DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best hands that we've seen in the last 20 years, and he just completely dropped that shit. That was just like, you could tell the end of the Chiefs dynasty was upon us. This is fine for what the money is, but I don't expect him to be like a game changer for the Ravens or anything like that. I think Rashad Bateman's better than DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
By like a good amount.
Oh yeah, dude. Rashad Bateman was good last year.
Yeah, he was. He was very good.
He's like very solid, like 8 touchdowns.
It's
crazy.
Joey Bosa to the Bills, 1 year, $12.6 million deal. Basically replaces Von Miller, who they let go. He's way better than Von Miller. So if he can stay on the field, this is a good signing, I think. I think he'll help he'll help the Bills a lot. Grady Jarrett to the Bears.
Ooh.
After Atlanta released him. I love this signing.
I like
3 years,
this.
$43.5 million, $28.5 million guaranteed. They also added another O-lineman. Drew Dahlman gets 3 years and $42 million. That's the second highest paid center in the league. So go ahead, Dylan. This is your time. Tell us about the trenches, I guess. Offensive line and defensive line improvements. Do you like them?
Oh, dude, they keep improving the offensive and defensive line. I mean, they added a pass rusher to Dio. Not going to pronounce his last name yet. Haven't heard it out loud yet. But he played a lot of positions on the D-line. Grady Jarrett solidifies the middle of the field on defense, along with a couple other players we have. But to add another, we've completely rebuilt the interior offensive line for the Chicago Bears here. And I mean, after last year's abysmal performances, I don't think we should stop. I think we need more help.
So what's your offensive line looking like right now? Left tackle still a question, right?
It's Braxton Jones.
Okay.
That tells you one thing. Okay, left guard, Jeff Tooney.
Okay. Dahlman, center.
Dahlman. Right guard would be, right now, Jonah Jackson.
Okay.
And then right tackle would be Darnell Wright.
It's not bad.
Who was our first round pick a couple of years ago. And honestly, Ben Johnson said that he loves Darnell Wright. And I'm like, dude.
Better than it was. So I think this is a good thing. And I think that me and Dylan were just talking about this the other night. I think the Bears should still draft a left tackle and just completely rebuild this.
Yes.
Honestly, if they draft a left tackle, I think that you'll be feeling very good about this offensive line heading into the season.
Because whoever's the weak link, that guy comes in. Yeah.
Yeah. If the Chicago Bears had a 16th rated offensive line last year, we would have won so many more games. Like if we were just dead middle of the pack, but they had the worst offensive line in the league. You know, I think you have to understand that bad of a season correlates to how bad your offensive line played. That's just this moral of the story in the NFL. Like you have to solidify that first before anything else. Look at all the other teams. By the way, I said Jeff Tooney. It's Joe Tooney.
Joe Tooney.
I know.
But that's just me. I like Jeff Tooney as well.
Jeff Tooney's a good name.
Yeah, Jeff Tooney's a great
name. According to Jordan Schultz, the Patriots are shopping Joe Milton. The club would like to trade him to the right situation to continue his development. The Pats supposedly love him, but they know Drake May is their future, and they just signed Josh Dobbs to a 2-year deal to be his backup. So this is basically, to me, I'm reading between the lines here, Vrabel was like, you guys shouldn't have fucking drafted another quarterback if you wanted Drake May to feel as comfortable as he should. Why did you do that? Let's try to trade him right now because he has decent value, because the 2 times that he played last year, there's once, with preseason, and then he got in for 1 game in the regular season, or am I wrong? Yeah. Am I misremembering? Okay. And he did okay, right? So it's he has decent value right now. Why don't we get he was a 7th round draft pick last year. Why don't we get a 5th rounder for him? And that's a great return on your investment right there. I think this makes a lot of sense. Where do you guys want him to go though?
The Steelers.
Steelers were who I thought of too. Yeah,
that's a good one too. I was kind of thinking maybe he could back up Jordan Love.
Oh.
I think a team would want to make that investment to see if he could compete to start.
Yeah, for sure. You're not trying to build him up to be a back, because then you're making Jordan Love potentially nervous down the line.
He didn't look
why are they trading for a quarterback?
I know.
Joe Milton, dude, and especially this guy that's out here throwing bombs, dude, in practice. He's throwing 80 yards. Get him out of here.
I do like the Steelers, though. That's probably my favorite one.
Yeah, Steelers would be good.
We'll see if this even happens, maybe? But
the Raiders
I would take them. Yeah, I'd absolutely take them.
Backing up Geno, and Geno's going to be there for a couple of years, but
and Geno's 34, so it's he should already know that eventually someone's going to be waiting in the wings. So
hey, Eagles just got rid of Kenny Pickett. I'd take Joe Milton as a backup.
Jesus.
I would love if Joe Milton came in and destroyed the Eagles from the inside, where it's just like Jalen Hurts loses all his confidence and then starts doing terrible, and then Sirianni gets fired, and then they trade Hurts away, and then Milton becomes a bust. Oh man,
Dude,
that was like fan fiction right there.
Put Joe Milton on the Vikings and see what happens.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Now that's the same thing with JJ McCarthy though. It's
yeah,
dude, we got to stop caring about this. With Joe Milton is healthy and throwing the ball like crazy.
Just ship him to the Steelers. I think that's the best for everybody. Rodgers and Milton. Anyway, speaking of Rodgers, Aaron Rodgers watch. Here we go. Steelers have made an offer to him, and the Giants are interested. He's still waiting around. I've heard it's not because that he's unhappy with the money that the Steelers offered. It sounds like he's just deep in thought, as he does. He was like photographed on the beach this week, just staring off into the horizon. I'm like, this guy's the most dramatic motherfucker ever, man. I know it's not like. I know he didn't ask for them to take his picture, but at the same time, he must know that there's cameras around at all times. So he's like, I'm just gonna look like I'm pondering here with my shirt off at the beach. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm sure he just wants to drag this out as long as possible. But at what point do the Giants and Steelers just go, you know what? Fuck you, Aaron Rodgers. We're just gonna go sign someone else, man. I don't know. We're obviously it's not worth it to deal with your shenanigans. So I honestly think that he will sign by our next episode. That's my prediction. I think he signs within the next week.
He's gonna wait.
I think he signs with the Steelers. That's my prediction.
He's gonna wait for the day where he thinks there's absolutely no news happening, so that way he's the highlight of the day.
Yeah.
What a psycho.
There's also Russell Wilson, too. The Russell Wilson watch. He visited the Browns on Thursday. He visited the Giants on Friday. I've heard the Titans are also a name to keep in mind. The Giants would rather have Rodgers, but are willing to sign Russ if Rodgers picks somebody else.
I think Russell Wilson for the Giants would be decent, too.
Yeah.
It'd be perfectly fine, I guess.
Yeah.
He was perfectly fine. Sure, he was perfectly fine the year before. He's not Russell Wilson anymore, but he can still run an offense too, I guess. And he's better than like Kenny Pickett would be for an offense by far. He can win you some games, I guess. He can game manage some games. I think the Giants defense will be okay. So, all right. That's that. Now we're going to do lightning round / rapid fire. Okay. I'm just going to read these guys off. I might stop and say a couple things about some of them. If you guys want to say something about a couple of them, go ahead and stop me too. I just figured at the end of it, we could just talk about a couple of our favorites or a couple of our least favorites, depending if anyone has any opinions on it. Okay. And also the free agent contest game that we have, just update the score. I'm leading currently with 4. I've gotten Godwin, Adams, Fields, and Darnold correct. Kai is in second place with 3. He got Darnold, Fields, and Godwin. Dylan's in last place with 2. He only got Darnold and Fields so far. But we still have quite a bit of names that still haven't signed. Stephon Diggs hasn't signed yet. Aaron Rodgers hasn't signed. Keenan Allen, J.K. Dobbins, Amari Cooper, Russ, and Tyler Lockett. So still plenty of signings out there for this game. Okay. J.C. Horn. Highest paid defensive back in NFL history for the Panthers. Signs 4-year extension with Carolina worth $100 million, $70 million guaranteed. Pretty good deal.
Yep.
Shout out Joe Horn.
Yes, his son. All-time touchdown celebration. The phone and the pylon. Or not the pylon. The phone, upright. The flip phone, too. I don't know who he was calling, but great celebration.
Didn't he put the marker in his sock, too?
No, that was T.O. Okay. It was T.O. and Chad Johnson were the 2 GOATs, but Joe Horn just had the one really good one. Khalil Mack back to the Chargers, 1 year, $18 million. Good deal.
I love it. Yep.
Really good.
Especially after losing Joey Bosa too. You got to keep Mack, I feel like.
Yeah, Mack.
Evan Ingram to the Broncos, 2 years, $23 million. This is great.
I gotta say something about this one. Yeah, this is amazing. Dude. We saw what Bo Nix was last year, and to add just a pass-catching tight end of this caliber to this offense, this is fantastic. His fantasy value shot up so much for me after this signing.
Who was their tight end last year?
Right?
It is Sean Payton.
Yeah.
Sean Payton's the coach for the Broncos, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He loves him a pass catching tight end, doesn't he?
He does.
Who was Denver's tight end last year?
It was supposed to be
Am I drawing a blank?
Dulcich or Dulcich.
It's not Dulcich. It wasn't Dulcich. He wasn't like the starter.
Well, he was injured, yeah, but God, who was
I don't
it?
know.
I can't remember, but I guess that's the reason why they signed Evan Ingram.
There you go.
But yeah, I think that'll help a lot. Hassan Reddick to the Bucks, 1 year, $14 million, $12 million guaranteed. We'll see about this one. I'm not too impressed with Hassan Reddick anymore. Yeah, what a wild move the last year and a half has been for him. Josh Palmer to the Bills, 3 years, $36 million.
I like it. I mean, it's not gonna move the needle, but it's a decent body to have in the room.
What's going on in Buffalo, dude? They gave Khalil Shakir too much money. They're giving Josh Palmer too much money, and now
this is about the rate I think receivers of that caliber are going. Like De'Ami Brown got $11 million a year as well, $10 million a year. So Josh Palmer's slightly better than De'Ami Brown, I would say.
I guess. All right, that's crazy.
I don't know. For the Bills specifically, it's just when teams don't want to invest in an actual game changer wide receiver, it's kind of just I know they can't afford Jamar Chase or somebody of that quality or anything like that, but when teams don't just straight up don't have a wide receiver one, it just is always kind of weird to me. So Josh Palmer, just another guy that's just he can make plays, but also he can disappear at any given time as well. Whatever, I guess. Nate Hobbs to the Packers, 4 years, $48 million. I think this is a pretty good signing. Yeah. He's had trouble staying on the field the last few years, but if he can stay healthy, he's a good player. So I think that's a good deal.
Not too expensive either.
He's a nickel back.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like a slot corner.
Okay. All right.
Dre Greenlaw to the Broncos, 3 years, $35 million.
I like it.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Still got some gas in the tank.
We didn't get to see too much of him last year, but if he can fully recover from that injury, I think this is I've always liked Dre Greenlaw a lot. I think it's a good signing.
Well, he's in a good defense too.
That's a nasty defense, and they're adding a nasty player. He's a nasty guy.
Nasty guy, huge guy. Nick Bolton back to the Chiefs, 3 years, $45 million. I'm a big Nick Bolton guy. I think that's a great signing. Great re-signing.
Probably one of the better value signings of all of free agency.
I agree. I think he's worth more than what he got paid. Not much more, but
he got paid what Cooper Kupp got paid.
Yeah, I think he talent-wise was the best linebacker available. Yeah. So to go back to Kansas City, that was a huge W for them. Javonte Williams, the Cowboys, 1 year, $3 million. They also signed Miles Sanders as well. I don't know the contract details, but Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders of the Cowboys.
Jesus,
I will say
it's cheap. It's cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap. If they draft a running back, which I expect them to draft a running back, I think this is perfectly fine because I think Javonte Williams is a change of scenery. I think there's a chance that it might be okay because keep in mind he was bad last year, but he also didn't really get a chance to prove that he wasn't bad. Each running back would get 7 carries a game there. That's just not enough for any of them to do anything in that offense. So it's
Javonte had the most opportunity though of any of those running backs, in my opinion.
Did he? I feel like it's about the same. At least him and Jaleel McLaughlin. I think he did. I think Javonte did have the most, but I don't think it's by a lot.
It's not because the numbers are just so low for all of them in general. Yeah.
So I think it's 1 year, $3 million, perfectly fine for Javonte Williams, in my opinion.
Doesn't move the needle,
especially if he's the RB2. If they draft a running back and he's the RB2, perfectly fine. If he's the starter, then that's a different story. That's a different story, but we'll see. Mac Hollins to the Patriots, 2 years, $8.4 million, perfectly fine.
Value. It's cold over there, though. You have to wear shoes sometimes.
Darius Slayton back to the Giants, 3 years, $36 million. I think it's funny because it wasn't the contract Saquon got 3 years, $38 million with the Eagles. So it's they weren't willing to re-sign Saquon, but they were willing to give Darius Slayton about the same amount of money. Zach Ertz. Back to the Commanders, 1 year, $6.25 million. I think that's one of those signings where if Zach Ertz went somewhere else, I'd be snoozer. He goes back to the Commanders. I think that's good. Yeah. I think he fits that team really well. So, and they also re-signed John Bates, who was their tight end 2 last year. It's kind of like a blocking guy. So I guess Ben Sinnott is just not a thing.
Not for a couple more years, probably.
They drafted him the second round, though. So
and he showed out in preseason. Yeah, I mean, hopes are high on him for a little bit.
So
we'll
I
see.
don't know.
We'll see how that pans out.
We'll see how it pans out. He's on the chopping block in my dynasty league. I'm going to say that right now on my dynasty team. He's on the chopping block. Daniel Jones to the Colts, 1 year, $14 million.
Oh, buddy.
This has been rumored for a while that the Colts were looking to get him in to be competition to Anthony Richardson. I want to tell you this right now. This is from Ian Harditz on Twitter. The lowest passer rating in the NFL over the past 2 seasons. The bottom 2, Daniel Jones, Anthony Richardson.
Hey, and let me tell you something right now. I actually think Daniel Jones can win that competition.
Yeah,
I don't think that's crazy to say.
He shouldn't, because I feel like we know what Daniel Jones is by now, and you should still give Anthony Richardson at least another, I would say at least another season to figure out if he's going to be good or not. You spent like the 4th overall pick on him.
He kind of
You're going to replace him with Daniel fucking Jones.
I mean, Anthony Richardson kind of shit in all of our mouths this season.
I mean, he made one mistake by saying he's tired, which was a big mistake, but it's like, I don't know. He also was bad. He was the 4th overall pick 2 years ago, dude. You got to give him more chances, honestly, in my opinion.
Maybe he shouldn't have been the 4th overall pick, though.
Well, yeah, no shit, Ty. No shit. He has bad leadership and he's a bad football player.
I just think he
still deserves a chance to
that
play
label,
a little bit longer.
I just think that label's gone from him now, honestly. But we'll see.
Zach Wilson to the Dolphins, 1 year, $6 million.
Oh shit, he's in Miami now. Hide your wives.
Oh yeah, damn, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, dude, he's gonna be a menace over there.
Javon Holland to the Giants, 3 years, $45 million. I think that's a pretty good signing. Juwan Johnson back to the Saints, 3 years, $30.75 million. I think that's perfectly fine. There wasn't really any free agent tight ends. It was like Juwan Johnson and no one else really. It was like Juwan Johnson, Zach Ertz, and no one else. So this is perfectly fine, I think. Justin Reed to the Saints, 3 years, $31.5 million. I think that's pretty solid. Him and Tyrann Mathieu together, pretty good. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine to the Dolphins, 2 years, $6.5 million.
Kind of interesting.
That's very interesting.
It is very
touchdowns.
Oh yeah, the touchdowns might increase somehow.
Okay, so the way I look at this one is like when we first heard about Jonnu Smith to the Dolphins, I was kind of intrigued. This is kind of like that same level for me.
Another former Titan, Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
Look at that. The pipeline. Demarcus Robinson to the Niners, 2 years, $9.5 million. I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a little interesting.
Yeah.
Ayuk, Pearsall, and Demarcus Robinson. That's not bad.
No. That's
not bad at all. And Kittle, too. Not bad.
And Juwan Jennings.
Oh, and Juwan Jennings. Yeah, completely forgot about Juwan Jennings. Holy shit. Yeah, that offense is going to be perfectly fine. Cam Bynum and Charvarius Ward to the Colts. I actually like both of these a lot. Bynum, 4 years, $60 million. Ward was 3 years, $60 million. So their defensive backfield was horrible. Their whole entire defense was horrible last year. I think these two signings are going to be really good. I like Cam Bynum's like personality too. I think he brings like more than just his play on the field to the team. So, and Ward's been a really good corner for a while. So, two really good signings by the Colts, even though they had a really bad signing with Daniel Jones. DJ Reed to the Lions, 3 years, $48 million. I like that.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
That's a great signing. What the fuck? I feel like that's not getting that much coverage in the media. I think that's a great signing for the Lions. Byron Murphy back to the Vikings, 3 years, $66 million. I kind of wanted the Raiders to sniff around him. But yeah, good re-signing by them. De'Ami Brown to the Jaguars, 1 year, $10 million.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I guess. John Allen and Javon Hargrave to the Vikings. I like these a lot.
Ooh,
Allen, 3 years, $60 million. Hargrave, 2 years, $30 million. So now basically their defensive front is now Jonathan Grenard, Jonathan Allen, Harrison Phillips, Javon Hargrave, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Dallas Turner.
Yeah.
That's pretty solid.
That's pretty damn good.
That's insane.
Marquez Valdez-Scantling signs with the Seahawks, 1 year, $5.5 million. I wouldn't have put this on here, but it reunited him with Clint Kubiak, who is the Saints offensive coordinator last year. And he honestly, I thought he did pretty solid for the Saints at the end of the year. Gave them at least something on that offense when they really had nothing. So,
well, there's your deep field guy, Seattle.
Yeah. So I'm not a Valdez-Scantling guy at all, but I thought he was like really solid with the Saints last year in the limited time that he was there. It was like something, I think he had like 17 catches for like 385 yards and 4 touchdowns in just a handful of games. So like, he's obviously not gonna be like a Pro Bowl wide receiver, but I do think he could be useful in that offense. So we'll see. Darius Slay to the Steelers, 1 year, $10 million.
Yeah.
Might be his last year, so we'll see.
Nah.
Mike Williams back to the Chargers, 1 year, $6 million. Little reunion there.
Here comes Keenan Allen. Get the band back together.
All right.
Yeah, maybe. Rico Dowdle to the Panthers, 1 year, $6.25 million to pair up with Chuba. That's a decent backfield,
actually,
like a decently cheap backfield. And I don't really expect Jonathan Brooks to really be a thing anymore. We'll see. At least not for next season. I like Rico Dowdle though.
Yeah,
I think he's pretty talented. So Raheem Mostert, so the Raiders, 1 year, $2.1 million. Not the most exciting signing, but $2.1 million. That's like literally nothing. I think he could be better.
Yeah.
He could be better than Madison and Amir Abdullah, and that's really probably all they need. Because I fully expect them to draft a running back. So Kareem Hunt back to the Chiefs, 1 year, $1.5 million. Good signing.
Cheap.
Oh yeah, that's super cheap.
I think that's just Kareem Hunt going, I want to ring chase. And also, I mean, he didn't really have a whole lot of market last year until the Chiefs came calling. So maybe the Chiefs are really the only people interested in him. I thought he was pretty solid though.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Gardner Minshew will back up Mahomes now to the Chiefs, 1 year deal.
Right where he belongs, dude. Right where he should back up Patrick Mahomes for the next 15 years.
He might. Mac Jones, the Niners, 2 year, $7 million. We'll finally get the Kyle Shanahan, Mac Jones team up. And then Kenny Pickett traded to the Browns, 2025 fifth rounder and DTR. So DTR is now an Eagle.
Oh,
that's a weird trade. It just makes
it was a weird one. Yeah,
happen. Yeah, it's weird. They got a fifth rounder out of it, but now Kenny Pickett, what's going to start some game for the Browns, dude? That's weird.
It is weird.
You have to be happy for a fifth round pick for Kenny Pickett.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That was a free fifth round pick.
I don't know if I like having DTR as a backup quarterback. God forbid we need him.
Dude.
Yeah, maybe he might be. He could be like a third string. What about McKee?
Yeah, I mean, it might be a competition in preseason between DTR and McKee.
Jesus, that's gross.
Well, McKee should.
That's disgusting, dude. That's disgusting.
Hurts is pretty reliable. I mean, he got hurt last year for what, like 2 games? Did he miss like a game and a half or something?
Yeah, something like that.
But I feel like Hurts is pretty reliable, not to get too injured.
Like I said, God forbid.
Right. That's it for us then. As always, you can find us at Raging Takes everywhere: Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. You can email us, ragingtakes@gmail.com. I'm at Montana Sauce on Twitter. Kai is at RTP Kai, and Dylan is at Such a Wise Fool. And we'll see you next weekend.
Bye.
Bye.